Today marks 4 years since a decision handed down by the U.S. Supreme Court reshaped abortion rights across the country.
The 2022 Dobbs decision overturned Roe v. Wade, taking away federal abortion rights and leaving such laws up to the states. 14 now enforce total or near total abortion bans, including Texas.
Today, dozens of women from Texas are joining more than 150 patients and advocates on Capitol Hill to meet with lawmakers and share how anti-abortion policies have affected their lives. That group includes Caitlin Cash from Austin. She's joining us now to talk more about the message advocates are sending today. Caitlin, we thank you so much for your time.
Yes, hi, thanks for having me.
You know, share us a little bit of your story with us. Tell us what happened to you.
Yeah, I have had several complications with Texas's abortion laws. In 2021, I found out my baby had a genetic anomaly that infected his bone development, and that his bones were going to start breaking in utero, and then he would suffocate at birth because his rib cage would be too small. I was unable to get care in Texas, and I was actually only told by my doctor to get a second opinion, but outside of the state. A few months later, I miscarried. I had issues getting my medication to help me pass that pregnancy from the pharmacist. And a year later, when I finally did have my second child, after she was born, my placenta was not delivering. And I was told that I needed a D&C to deliver that placenta, right? My baby was born, her heart was beating on her father's chest outside, and I needed this procedure to save my life. And it was delayed for 1 hour and 49 minutes. Because when you restrict one part of the reproductive healthcare continuum, you affect every pregnant person in the state.
You know, last legislative session, Texas lawmakers went ahead and amended the law, so to speak. They passed another law that said doctors can use their best judgment. Do you feel like that did enough to help women in Texas?
I do not feel like it did enough. I do hope it gave, doctors a little bit of freedom and flexibility when they are in those emergent situations. But here's the problem with healthcare bans. What they do is they restrict things. And so again, the medication and the equipment that is sometimes used to end an unwanted pregnancy is also used in a variety of other reproductive care scenarios. And when you restrict it, whether behind a lock, whether it's stored somewhere differently, whether it has to have administrative approval for it's needed, it's not there in emergencies. And that's what myself and hundreds of other women across Texas have been trying and shouting from the rooftops to say for years.
Right, that message that you all are saying abortion care is health care. Talk to us about the decision to go to Washington and spread this message there.
Yeah, I came to Washington because, frankly, I'm terrified of the direction that Texas is going in. Just last week, the Texas GOP met, and they are including language in their platform that says that even the unborn child should have equal protection under the Constitution. That is going to impact IVF care, which I had to use to have my daughter. That is going to impact miscarriage care. It is going to impact everything. And worse, it's going to charge women with murder if they do get an abortion. Just yesterday, the Texas Senate State Affairs Committee met on what could they be doing, recommendations to protect unborn children and women, protecting women and children. They didn't invite a single storyteller. 20 women sued the state of Texas in Zerowski v. Texas. They didn't invite a single one of us to talk about what they could be doing to protect mothers. Instead, they invited, Texas Right to Life and a host of other organizations that are focused on the right to life. But what about my life? I almost died. I was not going to be there for my daughter and my son and my husband. Before I was taken off to the OR, I hadn't even named my daughter yet.
Your message to the lawmakers on Capitol Hill, talk to us about, have you been able to talk with some of them? What's the agenda like for you and the hundreds of other women and advocates that are there trying to get them to see what you guys are dealing with and going through?
Yes. Yesterday, I was so fortunate that Senator Murray held a Dobbs forum. It was not a true committee hearing because there were not enough Republicans willing to support hosting a committee hearing, but it was a forum where she invited myself, Samantha Cassiano from Texas, who was forced to give birth to her daughter Halo after she had anencephaly. They invited us here and we spoke, and we had, many Democratic senators in the room listening to our stories. Unfortunately, neither of my Texas senators were there. But again, we've had really great meetings I will say I did meet with, one Texas Conservatives staff member, and they were willing to listen. And that's really why we're here. We want our stories to be heard. You cannot pretend like these laws are not causing harm, and just not listening to us is unacceptable.
Yeah. Caitlin Cash, Austin mom on Capitol Hill, thank you so much for your time right now talking with us. We appreciate you.
Thank you.